Greetings, welcome back. Sam Bloom Spoke Goods. I think I'm just going to do one video tonight. And once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching and liking and commenting. I really appreciate all the input, negative and positive. Also wanted to say, I hope I'm not being too much of a jerk when I get, sometimes I get a little bit upset about people's views on about climate change or about certain things, and I feel a little frustrated with it. But I understand on some level that just disparaging people and kind of coming at people with just calling people names and calling people stupid is not really gonna actually ever gonna change people's minds, but I'm not sure what will. Like sometimes you feel like reasonable, rational explanation might suffice, but it doesn't always. I mean, people just believe what they want to believe, and sometimes you feel like in order to cut through the bullshit, you got to just come out of your face a little bit. But I don't know. On a personal level, on an insight level, I don't feel like that's very helpful. So I'm going to try not to do that. I can't promise that I'm going to be successful, but anyways, got two articles today for you. One about the Antarctic and one about the Arctic. And we're going to start with down south. I'm sure probably a lot of you have seen this article. Crack in the Antarctic ice shelf grew 17 miles in the last 2 months. Ooh wee. When you're talking about glacial geological change, major glacial geological change happening in 2 months, you are talking about some accelerated changes in the earth. When you're talking about, when you have calving experiences in the Arctic, or that happen in the space of a day or a couple days. I mean, that's serious major changes in the earth on a very fast, very surprising level. And you really just kind of have to be in awe of what's happening. A rapidly advancing crack in Antarctica's fourth largest ice shelf has scientists concerned that is getting close to a full break. The rift has accelerated this year in an area already vulnerable to warming temperatures. Since December, the crack has grown by the length of about 5 football fields each day. The crack in Larsen Sea now reaches over 100 miles in length, and some parts of it are as wide as 2 miles. The tip of the rift is currently only about 20 miles from reaching the other end of the ice shelf. Once the crack reaches all the way across the ice shelf, the break will create one of the largest icebergs ever recorded, according to Project Midas, a research team that has been monitoring the rift since 2014. Because of the amount of stress the crack is placing on the remaining 20 miles of the shelf, the team expects the break soon. The iceberg is likely to break free within the next few months, said Adrian Luckman of Swansea University in Wales, who was a lead researcher for Project Midas. The rift tip has moved from one region of likely softer ice to another, which explains its stepwise progress. I'm going to link this article. There's a time-lapse image which shows the rift gradually widening from late 2014 to January of this year. Ice shelves, which form through runoff from glaciers, float in water and provide structural support to the glaciers and the rest and that rest on the land. When an ice shelf collapses, the glaciers behind it can accelerate towards the ocean. Higher temperatures in the region are also helping to further the ice shelf's retreat. If the ice shelf breaks at the crack, Larsen C will be at its smallest size ever recorded. That would also leave the ice front much closer to the ice shelf's comparative arch, a line that scientists say is critical for the ice shelf's compressive arch, a line that scientists say is critical for structural support. If the front retreats past that line, scientists say the northernmost part of the shelf could collapse within months. It could also significantly change the landscape of the Antarctic peninsula. At that point in time, the glaciers will react, said Eric J. Renaud, a glaciologist, professor at University of California, Irvine, and a senior scientist at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. If the ice shelf breaks apart, it will remove a buttressing force on the glaciers that flow into it. The glaciers will feel less resistance to flow, effectively removing a cork in front of them. The crack reaches all the way to the bottom of the ice shelf. And then it goes on to talk about two crucial anchors that will be lost as the shelf retreats. The collapse of the Larsen C ice shelf may not sharply affect global sea level rise, but the collapse of other vulnerable ice shelves will. The Larsen A and B ice shelves disintegrated in 1995 and 2002. Both were drastically smaller than Larsen C. Neither contributed significantly to global sea level rise, however, because they were already floating above water, and the glaciers behind them did not contain a substantial volume of ice. The collapse of Larsen C would add only a tiny amount of water to the global sea level. Of greater concern to scientists is how the collapse of ice shelves can affect the glaciers that flow behind them, because the melting of those glaciers can cause much higher levels of ocean rise. Scientists see the impending Larsen C collapse as a warning that much larger amounts of ice in western Antarctica could be vulnerable. There you have that. Physical evidence. Once again, scientists cannot make this up. This is physical, tangible evidence of something that's going on. Okay, and the next story is something is very, very wrong with the Arctic climate. We knew this. This is from Yahoo News. This Arctic winter has startled even the most even-keeled scientists. With records set for low sea ice extent, high temperatures, and other indicators of a climate gone awry. Sea ice has plummeted to record lows and stayed there as pulses of unusually warm air have swept across the region, with the latest one set to reach the North Pole on Thursday. According to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, sea ice extent hit record lows for the month of November, December, and January. And there's another article linking fierce North Atlantic storm to send temperatures soaring at North Pole again. This comes on the heels of a year in which sea ice extent hit record lows, second lowest level on record at the end of the summer melt season in September. The new figures for January sea ice extent released on Tuesday showed sea ice extent averaged 4.17 million square miles for the month, which is the lowest January extent in the 38-year satellite record. This is 100,000 square miles, or slightly larger than the state of Oregon, below the previous lowest January extent in January 2016. To put it in a longer-term perspective, sea ice extent during January was 487,000 miles. Sea ice extent during January was 487,000 square miles below the January 1981 to 2010 long-term average. This means the Arctic was missing an area of sea ice about the size of South Africa. Keep in mind that this is the middle of a winter, when much of the high Arctic is still shrouded in darkness. The sea ice throughout the past 3 months has been especially low in the Kara, Barents, and Bering Seas. Remarkably, during January, the sea ice edge remained north of the Svalbard archipelago and far northern Norway, which typically is surrounded by sea ice during the winter. This retreat, the NSIDC stated, was largely due to the inflow of warm Atlantic water along the western part of the archipelago. The NSIDC cited the analysis of a NASA researcher, Richard Colither, who found that the winter of 2015-2016 was the warmest on record in the Arctic during the satellite era, which began there in 1979. It's unclear if 2017 will rank higher, given the whims of natural weather variability and the long-term influence of human-caused global warming. Yeah, so 2015-2016 was the warmest on record, and we've already had record highs at the end of 2016. Basically, every month, every month in the year 2016 has set a record for a record high of warm temperatures. Every month in the year 2016 has been a record warm month for the Earth. And it looks like it's just going to keep on going that way. That's pretty much the end of the article. This is not good news. Maybe I'm going to go check out this link real quick about this Atlantic storm. Powerful storm spinning across North Atlantic Ocean, southeast of Greenland. For the third time this winter, such a storm is likely to vault unusually a warm air towards the pole, potentially bringing temperatures across the sunless Arctic to near the melting point. This article does not wants to show me a Valentine's Day thing. I don't care. Melting point for a brief period later this week. So yeah, the Arctic in the wintertime is experiencing temperatures at the melting point when it's supposed to be something like negative 20 degrees there. That's supposed to be the average temperature. Yeah, so this isn't good. I'm trying to see if there's any more information in this. The winter has been anything but typical in the far north. On at least 2 occasions so far, the North Pole itself has neared or reached the melting point of 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, in part because of pulses of mild and moist air flooding the region from the Atlantic side of the Arctic Ocean. On Thursday, temperature departures from normal of 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit are projected for areas near the North Pole. Such anomalies would take actual air temperatures to near the melting point. And this particular storm will cause the third such event this November. Anyways, I'm going to link this story. More cheery news. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Like, comment. Have any thoughts on this, information on this, or, just take it all in. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.